We're going to go right to the top. We have Senator John McCain joining us, and from Afghanistan, so I'm not even going to let him wait and listen to me. Hi, Senator.
Hello, Jim. I'm calling you from Jerusalem. I was in Iraq and Afghanistan and now in Jerusalem and headed home tomorrow, I'm happy to say.
And, Senator, we've been following the news there and listening to your comments on where we should concentrate our efforts there, but it's really hard not to start off with the president suing your state, our state, over 1070, and your reaction.
My reaction is that I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like it. It's an incredible paradox that the president should order his attorney general to sue us, because the fact is that there would be no controversy whatsoever if the president and the federal government had carried out their responsibilities to secure the border. If the border had been secured, then the state of Arizona would not have had to act out of frustration, because we are under assault by human smugglers and drug smugglers. And the fact is, you look at the violence south of the border, I don't have to tell you, Jim, and this situation has worsened over the last few years, despite what our Secretary of Homeland Security is alleging. So my advice to the president is, come on down to the border, come and visit. John, Kyle, and I'd love to bring you down to the border and show you what needs to be done. We can do it. We've got a 10-point plan to do it. And by the way, I'm here in Israel, and as you know, Jim, in Israel, they know how to secure their borders.
Oh, and we can secure borders when we want to. And by the way, Sheriff Babu has to live with this so-called green light on him from the Mexican mafia, and we have the president worrying about us taking over their rights. And, Senator, I'm not going to blame it on your run for presidency, but wow, are they beating up Arizona or what? I mean, it's everything we do. There's other laws in California. I think there's one in Virginia. There's one in Maryland. And there are similar laws to what we're doing. I don't see anyone make a peep out of that. So what is his beef with us?
I do not know, my friend. It is, it's really, really, really infuriating in many respects, and I share the anger in your voice. The people in the southern part of our state deserve not to live in an area where there are signs put up by our own government that says warning, human smuggling, drug smuggling in the area, be careful, etc., etc. Why should people be forced to live under those conditions, not to mention, as you know, our ranchers and others? And anybody who has observed what's happening on the other side of the border, as you know, 23,000 Mexican citizens have been killed in the last 3 years, and that it continues to go up. 21 people murdered south of 12 miles south of Nogales, Arizona, and as you know, the police chief of Nogales has had threats that the drug cartels are going to kill his policemen. Now, that's not an acceptable situation. Get the troops down, rebuild and build the fence, and get the surveillance capability in, and we can do exactly what they're doing here in Israel, and that's have their secure borders and let people live in an atmosphere, an environment of security. It's just, look, one of the allegations is that we must give some credence to is that they are trying to show up the Hispanic vote in future elections. That may be part of it. I don't know what other conclusions draw. Do you?
Well, I'll tell you, if that is the conclusion, Senator, I'm afraid if they win this lawsuit, the reaction to what might be the silent majority at this point in life could be pretty extreme. They're blaming a patchwork. They don't want a patchwork of laws, Senator, but am I wrong that there's medical marijuana laws that are affected in different states? There are gun laws that are different in different states. So it really a shot at Americans. And with the polls showing what they're showing, I'm shocked at this. Even it's too risky. Even if I were a Dem trying to get votes, I would have deemed this too risky a move to do for political reasons.
Well, Jim, I happen to be a Federalist, and I know you are too from our previous conversations. The Constitution of the United States says all rights, unless delineated, and I'm paraphrasing, to the federal government, are reserved for the states, right? So that means that the state of Arizona was carrying out what it believed was its responsibilities to try to get the border secured and to get the situation within our state under control. That is an obligation that state governments have. And I mean, when I say that, it is a federal responsibility to secure the borders, and they didn't do that. So then the state of Arizona had to act out of frustration, right?
Well, and what it's doing, though, is bringing the true colors out on every group and every agency and every individual who used a weak argument for why we don't like people who are of Mexican descent. And it's making people show their cards. And I think that's a good thing for Arizona long term.
Well, I also think it's very obvious that 60, 70, 80% of the American people support what Arizona has done. I'm proud of our governor. I'm proud of our legislature. I'm proud of our sheriffs, Larry Deaver, Paul Babu, and many others who are out there on the front line every day protecting our citizens, and I'm so proud of them. And so, again, I would, John Kyle and I will invite the president to come to the border. He can see it for himself. He can see the tough conditions in the summertime down on our border and what the brave men and women are doing. We need more of them. We need the guard on the border. We need better surveillance, and we need to fix those fences. And we can do it, but it's just, well, I think that the people of Arizona have the right to live secure lives, and the president, by this, it's a diversion, Jim. Don't you think? It's just a diversion from responsibilities that they have.
Well, but to be fair, Senator, before this president's over the top. But before this president, we've had similar curveballs about the border and illegal immigration and people looking the other way because they just didn't want it on their election cycle or whatever it might be. So it's been something for a long, long time. And obviously your critics will say, hey, you were in there too, you know. So how did we get to this point?
Yeah, but look what's happened over the last 3 years. But I wanted to have the immigration issue solved. I still do. But the border has spiraled because of the incredible increase in violence in Mexico. And anybody who has not observed that obviously doesn't know what's been going on. Ask Larry Deaver, ask Paul Fabiu, ask these other law enforcement people, and they will tell you that the violence is at an incredible level, which argues persuasively, in my view, to get the border secured first. We've got to get it secured to protect the lives and property of our citizens. It has dramatically increased. It's been a problem in the last few years as they have fought really for the existence of the Mexican government. And so all I can say is that they did make some improvements under Bush. This administration and their original budget was to cut the number of Border Patrol, and now they have made a few very modest improvements, but we just have to put in place a plan that I know we can get done, my friend. And I'm here in Israel, and in Israel, as I told you, they have secure borders. So it's not as if it can't be done.
Senator, before you go, give me a quick roundup of this important trip for you.
Well, first of all, in Iraq, it's a success story. We went downtown Baghdad and went shopping at a bakery and a store. So there'll still be violent attacks, but they're on the right path thanks to the sacrifice of over 4,000 brave young Americans. In Afghanistan, it's tough. There's corruption, and I'm very, very deeply concerned about the president's commitment that we're leaving in the middle of 2011, no matter what the conditions are. We should be leaving under conditions-based, not on an arbitrary date, and our friends and our allies are upset about it, and our enemies are encouraged. We were outside Kandahar, by the way, in 120 degrees with our soldiers, and Afghan police chief said, yeah, the Taliban are telling us that the Americans are leaving, and if we cooperate after they leave, we're going to cut off your heads. So we've got to send the message that it's condition-based, that we can succeed. General Petraeus can succeed. I can tell you that I go over there on 4th of July, and being with the troops at a re-enlistment ceremony and award ceremony with General Petraeus is a humbling and moving experience. And by the way, I had a ride in an Arizona National Guard helicopter while I was in Iraq.
Excellent.
Proud of them, too. So, look, we can succeed in Afghanistan, and we can't afford it to become a base for attacks on the United States ever again. But the fact is that this arbitrary date for withdrawal plus corruption are huge obstacles to success.
Well, Senator, hurry home.
And here in Israel, Jill, let me just mention one other thing. This Iranian nuclear, the Iranians continuing to progress towards nuclear weapons could cause a huge crisis here throughout the whole Middle East, as you know. And when I come down and get on your show and talk about it at length, but this is a very interesting world we're living in and a very challenging one, and we've got to transmit a message of strength, not weakness.
Oh, and I hope when you get to Arizona, we can send that same message. We're being invaded from all angles and attacked from all sides, Senator. So hurry home.
All right, my friend. Look forward to being with you. Bye.
Senator John McCain, everybody, live in Jerusalem.